have things been this week?
Yeah, look, we've tried to assess the result and the performance last week, which we do regardless of the result. We always have a bit of feedback in the debrief, which I think is important, but we never dwell on things for too long, whether they're negative or positive. We deal with them, and then we look to the future, and the future's this week's game.
Does that performance really consider it a case of, look, if it's a one-off and these things happen, is it about what you do now on Saturday?
Well, yeah, look, I have to be clear, and a little bit, it's gone under the radar a little bit, that for 80 minutes of that game we played with 10 men, because even prior to Stephen O'Donnell getting sent off, Barry Maguire was off for 5 minutes with an injury, and we had 10 men. So while we had 11 men for the 10 minutes that we did, we only conceded one chance. So this is where my sort of professional head comes on and dissects everything and the facts. And this, since we've been here for the 8 games, the 6 games where we've had 11 men on the pitch, we've won 3, drawn 2, and lost only 1. So we've got to take everything into perspective and then put it into plan. But for me, we focus on what we've done well for the previous 8 games, and not lose our minds and lose our composure and our thoughts over a really poor 15-20 minute spell, and that's what it was. But it was enough to lose the game. So that's how important the small details are, the starts of games and everything come into focus. So for me, and I said this last week, I like to deal with one game at a time. So we have to go into this game tomorrow with the last week's game gone. We can't win those points back. We can't. I know we talk about making amends, but I want our players going in with a clear thought process on what we have to do tomorrow to win tomorrow's game. And that's really important for me, and I need to see that focus from the players going into the game more than anything. We all do our due diligence and analysis on the opposition. I think we all have our own ideas. Some managers like to change things for certain opposition, some don't like to and just focus on themselves. So there's different aspects to it, but I think his team and formation has been pretty settled, I would say. I think we have been pretty settled in the last 7 or 8 games as well. So for me, the focus, and spoke to the players about this last week, has to be on just how my team performs. And it's not a personal battle between me and Callum. It's not a who can outsmart the other and all that. All I want to see is my team play how we train. That for me is my only focus. If we don't get the result but we play how we train, then I can deal with that. It's when we don't get the result and we don't play how we train, that's when I'm not a happy man, because I think it's wasted work, and I don't like to waste work. It's so valuable, our training and coaching time, that we have to put it into practice. So we don't know each other's team intimately, but I think we've both probably got a rough idea of how we're going to play.
Have you had a benefit from sort of training, like a full week this week? There's been so many midweek games, you've actually been able to sit them down.
Well, we'll see tomorrow, and that's the reality. 100%. We've looked at, between the Kilmarnock and Hamilton game, that we only had 2 days. Did we get enough preparation in that time to deal with? Did that have any bearing on our start in the game? I don't particularly think it was, but I had to look at that because, like I said, I have to take responsibility for it myself as well. Going into a full week's training is always beneficial, without a shadow of a doubt. But regardless of that, it's about the players taking on what we do in training every single day and just taking it into the game. That's the you can only look at the week's work when you've finished the week. And at the minute we haven't finished the week. The game is the end of the week, and that's when we assess everything and see whether we worked well enough to win the game.
If you take anything from last week, Max Johnson coming off the bench, he's obviously 17 years old, another academy product. You're happy to get him some minutes, he's highly rated.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bonus or a gimmick. It was because he deserved it. He's been involved in the squad because of the way he trains, because the intelligence that he shows in when we played a bounce game two and a half weeks ago. He played right back in that game and showed all the tactical nous that we needed. And that's why I had no doubts putting him on last week in what was a challenging circumstance for him. We were down to 10 men. It was a difficult game for us, but I thought he handled himself really well. And I think when I see the Barry Maguire, Alan Campbell, just in my time here, and obviously Max coming into it now, you can see that there's a great sort of system here and a great philosophy on bringing young players through, but they're coming through with the right character. That's the biggest thing for me. I see them and they're very professional. They're very down to earth and not ahead of themselves, and they're completely devoted and motivated by football and being successful. So we were delighted to give Max. I wouldn't even say give Max the opportunity. I thought he took the opportunity and earned the opportunity. So every credit to him and his coaches that have brought him this far.
Graham, looking at the game tomorrow, what do you expect from St Johnstone?
A very well organised team with good players. I think them and us are in relatively good form. I'm taking last week's sort of performance out of it, but previous to that, I think we're in the last 5 league games we're fourth in the table, behind Rangers, Celtic and Hibs, which shows that we're doing good things. But right behind us is St Johnstone, so they're doing good things as well. So I think I know a couple of their players. I managed Craig Conway before down at Salford, and actually spoke to Callum about him when he wanted to sign him. So they'll be a good team. They'll have energy. They'll be well organised, and they'll be coming here looking to win the game. Both teams are looking to win games of football to make sure we preserve our Premiership status. So it'll be a competitive game, but I think 2 good teams will go for the win.